Good evening. It's great to be back. Welcome back to the show. Hope you all enjoyed it while I was off. A massive big up to Dan Lourdes and to D for smashing it and absolutely hosting some fantastic shows. I'm sure you all enjoyed them just as much as I did. I can't lie to you guys. I've absolutely loved the holiday. I really have. I'm gutted to be back. It's freezing cold, but I won't miss the football, and that's the main thing. I did miss it for a bit, to be fair, but Arsenal, as far as we're concerned, I actually missed some very good games. So I don't regret going to Goodison Park and losing 1-0. I don't regret going to the Emirates to see us draw to Brentford and lose to Man City. But I do regret not going to Villa Park because I would have been able to go to that one if I was in England, which we're going to talk about. Billy, welcome to the show. Dave, welcome to the show. I think we've got a couple of lads joining us soon as well. Might as well start with that game, Bill, to be honest with you, because...
Do we have to?
I know. It's great. You know what? It's great. It's great that you two have come on because this is a weekend of mine that I can talk about now. One which Dave knows has made me very, very happy with their result. And, of course, Billy, the result beating you. And I actually like Villa and I like Unai Emery and I've got a lot of time for a lot of your players. But, of course, that game for us was so important that we won it due to the fact that we lost to Brentford. We lost to Everton and to City and we drew to Brentford. So it was really starting to be all the neutral fans are sending me apple crumbles and Arsenal crumbles and all this. And it's funny because our season has crumbled, yet we sit top of the league by 2 points with a game in hand. It's crazy. If that's our season crumbling, I'll tell you what, I'll take that all day long. I've got to get your opinion on a few things of the game, Bill. I know you're going to be obvious for me what I'm going to ask you, but let's get your overall thoughts, mate, because I've got to say that was and I'd say this, and I think Dave will agree with me because I'll get his points as well. That was an incredible game of football for the neutral to watch. What a game of football that was. So what did you make of it, Bill?
To be honest with you, I was dreading it the second that Man City game finished. Or as soon as that third goal went in, I was absolutely dreading it because it turned it into a must win for yourselves. You know, if you'd have gone and beaten Man City at the Emirates, or I was hoping anyway, maybe you might take this one a little bit easy. You know, you've got the hard one out the way and done with Man City. Maybe you might come to Villa Park and relax a bit and we can make the most of that. Obviously, it didn't work out that way. So I was dreading the game. But as the game went on, I was really pleased from a Villa perspective anyway, the account of ourselves that we made. I thought we had a really decent game, particularly the first half. Don't get me wrong, the second half, you guys came out, battered us, and probably deserved the win in the end. But from a Villa perspective anyway, I was really proud of the result. Not the result, sorry, of the performance. It's just gutting the result ended how it did in the manner that it did as well, because you know it's a tough one to take. Any other day, you know, that bounces straight over Martinez's head into the path of Nketiah, who taps it in miles offside. 2-2, we take the point, go our separate ways. Huge point for us. Boost to now go on we've got a decent run of fixtures now, or a winnable run of fixtures. But it's just such a hard one to take, and it's a frustrating one to take. But it was just that little bit of luck that lost us that game. You know, I'm not going to beat myself up about it too much. It was just a slice of luck that just went that went your way, went against us. And it's just one of them now. We've got to pick ourselves up. Everton at the weekend, away at Goodison. It's not going to be easy, but we need a win and we need a bounce back, and hopefully we can do it.
I hope you can, man, because I like Villa and I like Emery, like I said. But I did look at that game and think, yeah, there was a slice of luck as far as Arsenal were concerned. Having said that, I think the luck was how we won the game, but the second half, I thought we destroyed you. I really did. And
I agree, to be fair.
How Erdegaard missed that, I don't know what he was taking. I don't know what he'd been drinking, but that was a sitter, mate. Absolute sitter. Eddie Nketiah had a couple of headers he should have done better with, but I thought it was a good game. Dave, before I bring you in, welcome D. Big up yourself, bruv. Thank you so much.
You look refreshed.
Thank you. I know, I look refreshed. Thank you, mate, for stepping in for me, man. I much appreciate it, bruv.
Yeah, I appreciate it as well, but I don't like the timing, though, that you went, man. We could have had interesting conversations. I don't like the fact that you came back after that result. I mean, there was more time.
I skipped the skipped the rubbishness of the games, and now we're back. And all I can think about is what was in front of me, mate. I go game by game. I don't look back at games, D. So we can't worry about what's happened. We can only worry about what happened. I know. It's
just remember what you said, yeah. You don't look back at games, yeah. Remember what you said, yeah. So we keep at the present moment, yeah. We're going to talk about
well, listen. At the present moment, I'm a happy boy, man. We're 2 points clear with game in hand, top of the table, looking down, trying to work out where Palace are because I still can't see them. It's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant.
Fair enough. I can't wait to smoke you lot at the Emirates. I can't wait. Honestly, there's not much I look forward to this season other than facing Arsenal. I can't wait, man, because boy, you got extremely lucky. I mean, you can't even make that up. Even on FIFA, you can't see goals like that. The fact that it hit the crossbar, hit the goalkeeper's head, and then it went in. I mean, you genuinely can't make goals up like that. So it's fine. When you look at it on paper, City were the serious team this weekend. They were very unlucky not to score 3 or 4 goals. Sorry, Dave, but they were very unlucky at the time to score 3 or 4 goals. And I think they
results business D. Well. Results business D.
It is results business, but when you look at performances, I wouldn't hype up yet. I wouldn't, because there's more games coming up. There's more games coming
it's 23 games in. You haven't hyped up from game 1 up the way to 23.
You can have this conversation, but look, this season we have spent money. So when you have teams that are spending about 170 million pound, I feel like you should get onto them a bit more, because at least we're not in the relegation zone after spending about 200 million pound on absolutely. I don't know who they spent it on.
If he weren't still in Birmingham right now, I'd have him on here tonight. I tell you, because I'm just laughing at this guy. This honestly, Lawless has got so much chest. Yesterday, like all he was doing on Matisse's channel was telling me that he'd have Soufal over Tomiyasu, and he thinks Aguerd will be better than Saliba.
He just doesn't learn, does he? He just doesn't. Like, that's the mad thing.
Guy,
he just doesn't.
I tell you, man.
He keeps the same energy. He keeps the same energy. But what are you gonna? Before we continue about football chat, are you doing race for the Premier League next season? I've got someone.
I'm gonna have to do it. I've got
a very good suggestion on who can host it. Don't worry about that.
Yeah, man. I'm gonna have to do a playoff. I'm gonna have to do a race for the playoffs or something. You know what I mean, like,
we'll find a Millwall fan for him as well. Back-to-back West Ham Millwall. He'll enjoy himself. Trust me. I've got the man for you. I've got Millwall fans that I know, man. So it'll be exciting. Don't worry.
Yeah, mate. I tell you what, he better hope one or two things happens. He better hope he wins that Conference League or they don't go down. Because I tell you, man, he's getting absolute pelters, man. Absolute pelters. But yeah, man. Seriousness though, D. Thanks for stepping in, man. You and Lawless, absolute quality, man. And I watched.
Did a great job.
Did a very good job, man. Absolutely. Very good job, and I appreciate it. Dave, let's get your thoughts. No, thanks, man. Dave, let's get your thoughts on the game, Arsenal Villa, and where does this leave Arsenal? I know this is a show that ain't about the title race, but where does this leave us, and where does it leave Villa in your eyes, mate?
Well, I think Villa are all right, you know, and as Billy says, quite rightly, Villa played some good football up until half time. I think second half, Arsenal were clearly the better team, and you know, Billy, the gentleman that he is, has acknowledged that. I think Mikel Arteta said in his post-match that he doesn't want Dan Potts to go outside of England again, because while Potts has been away, Arsenal have kind of crumbled a bit.
So come back when it's all right now.
You see me, I don't have foreign holidays, mate. I just can't afford to leave my beloved, you know, here on their own in the Premier League. But as far as the game goes, I mean, from a neutral point of view, I think Steve Wilson was commentating for the BBC, and he said it was a fantastic game of football, and he was bang on. It was a cracking game. It had kind of everything. Villa played some good stuff. Arsenal played some good stuff. There were sitters. There were good goals. I wondered which club Emi Martinez thought he was with towards the end there. I kind of wondered if Emi had kind of forgotten that he's now an Aston Villa player. What I did find funny, I mean, he was deeply unlucky with the goal, but these things happen. I don't think he'll be asked to go up for a corner again because Emery came on afterwards. Unai came on afterwards, and you know, and I love Unai Emery's accent. I think it's fantastic. I'm trying to take it off, but I can't. And I think the guy asked Unai about Emi doing that, and maybe because Emi's a World Cup winner now, he feels he has carte blanche to do these things, you know. But I don't think he'll be allowed to do it again, because when you see Martinelli running up the field towards an empty net, you know, it kind of sets you up. But I do think Villa are fine. You know, Villa have got a good squad. They play some good football. You know, I'm not quite sure what their fixtures are. I know we go there on April the 8th to Villa Park, which is I'm looking forward to. It should be a good game. I think Villa will be fine. Arsenal. Now, the thing is, with Arsenal, I watched the whole of the top of the table clash, and I was watching it basically because I was kind of scouting City, before they came to us on Saturday, and Billy said he was dreading playing City. Dreading playing Arsenal after what happened. I think I was dreading playing City more after what I saw. But you know what? What a weird and bizarre and funny game football is. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely, man. It's absolutely mental. Before I come back to Billy D, what did you make of Emi Martinez's mad antics, bruv?
He's just a mad guy. Like, I could tell from day one. Nothing surprises me. The fact that what we saw in the World Cup with his celebration after he won that golden, what was it called? I forgot the name.
Golden Glove.
Yeah, Golden Glove. Yeah. Just Martinez in general. So I'm not surprised by that. But if I'm Emery, I'm seriously, I'll sit him down and have a conversation, because regardless of what everyone thinks about, it's the last minute, it doesn't matter anyways. If your manager says don't go up there, and you know that, and you go up there, then you're basically going against your manager. It doesn't matter if it's 1-0, 2-0, 3-0, 4-0. And I feel like Martinez went up there due to his ego more than anything, because you can see he was frustrated after that goal went in. The Arsenal fans were clearly in his head, and it didn't make any sense to go against your manager. And Emery clearly wasn't happy. And the fact that Emery came out publicly shows how annoyed he was. So going forward, he just needs to, I don't know, I feel like he just needs to compose himself a bit better. His emotions seem like he got the best out of him. He tried to go up there to try to score a goal because of his mistake, and he cost another goal, which, was unfortunate for Villa, because goal difference matters as well. It's not just about, Villa were winning, Arsenal were winning by 1 goal difference. It's the last kick of the game. Goal difference matters. It will add up at the end of the season. If Villa keep having mistakes like this and keep conceding goals, that 1 goal difference will turn into 2 to 3 to 4 to 5. That might cost them league position. So I think it was silly. But I love him as a character because he's very interesting. But yeah, you just can't do that against your manager's will, man. You just can't.
Yeah, man. I must say, like, there's some comments in the chat that's talking about Ramsdale being Arsenal's best player against Villa. That was a world-class save, by the way. Absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
That was, and that really kept in it. Ty Gunnersaurus says that Emi was the best Arsenal player in the game. But asking Billy what you thought, man. Emi, like, what is it? He goes up to try and score. Emery's was hearing that you don't want him to. Like, whose side are you on here, Bill? Like, what did you make of it?
To be honest with you, I could understand it from both sides. To be honest with you, I don't really think it's as deep as what people are trying to make out it was. Look, we all know that Emi's a passionate guy. You're right, little Dan.
Having his tea.
No, we all know that that Martinez is a passionate guy. He feels that goal is his fault. He said that today. Come out and said that today. It was his fault. That's another reason why he didn't rush over to the goalkeeper and claim offside, because you've certainly seen them given as well. So he felt that it was his fault, and he went up that corner to try and right a wrong, if you know what I mean. And yeah, Emery doesn't like it, but I think that's something that you just push under the carpet. You don't do it again. I've got to be totally honest. I'm not the biggest fan of how Emery came out and said it publicly, but tensions are high after a game like that. I can understand it from both sides. Emi hopefully won't do that again and go against Unai Emery. But yeah, it's one of them really. It's not that deep. I think people are trying to make it something that it isn't really. Just push it under the carpet, move on, and focus on Everton next week.
Billy, before I come to Little Dan, great assist by Mings. I'm hearing a modern day Titus Bramble. Is this like he's getting it in the chat, Tyrone Mings, a new contract.
He always does.
What's your thoughts then? Because I know you don't mind Mings.
No, he's been quality for us this season, and I think that the header for the Saka goal is just Mings trying to play it out to a player. You know, Emery wants us to play out from the back instead of heading it out for a corner, which you might normally do. There was a player just to the right of Saka as he was looking at the goal, Mings' left, if you like. Emery Buendia, I think it was from memory, in plenty of space to kind of take it back up the pitch. So that's probably what Mings was trying to do with it. In hindsight, you're better off just letting it go out for a corner. That's just one of them. That's just a defender trying to do what's best for the team. But he's been fantastic this season. He gets a lot of criticism, and from Villa fans, from neutral fans, everyone watches Tyrone Mings expecting him to make a mistake. You know, everyone watches him. When's he going to mess up? When's he going to mess up? You don't do that with any other centre back. As soon as Mings plays one bad pass, it's bosh! Everyone's on Mings' back. It's a bit unfair, to be honest with you, I think. And he's been a class player for Villa this season. The way he bounced back after the captaincy taken off him, he's been really, really good. And it was Unai Emery that initiated the contract talks as well. He was the one that wanted Tyrone Mings to stay at the club, which is a massive show of trust. So, yeah, he's going to be around for a while yet. And the thing with Villa now is maybe he's not good enough for Premier League football, European football, where we want to be. But the point of making a squad is to now replace the starting players, put them as bench players, essentially, if you know what I'm trying to say. You don't want to get rid of your starting players, improve them, but still have a shit bench. Pardon my French. You know, you've got to have a stronger squad all round. So I expect the likes of Callum Chambers to be gone in the summer. Maybe we bring in another centre-back. Maybe we bring in a starting centre-back and then have Mings on the bench, who's much better than Chambers, you know? It's about have an all-round stronger squad. So I'm not surprised that he signed a contract, and I'm happy that he signed a contract as well, to be honest with you.
Fair, man. Little Dan's happy, mate. He's happy to see Mings in an Aston Villa shirt. He's happy that Arsenal beat him in the last few minutes of the game. What was your thoughts, Little Dan? How are you, bruv?
I'm not sure about that last part, Dan. I weren't like overly happy about Arsenal winning, but it was just the greater of two evils, to be honest. In regards to sort of Tyrone Mings, 3.5 years isn't long enough for me. Give him a lifetime contract because that guy is fucking shit. The reason why he gets so much flack is not because he's shit, because he somehow blagged his way into the England team like Conor Cody did. Once you get into that England team, you get so much more media on you, and every little mistake, like Bill said, just gets exaggerated. It was unlucky with Saka's goal, I thought, on the weekend. You want your defender trying to get something on it to try and get out for a corner or just get something on it. Unfortunately for Villa, it landed at the foot of probably one of the best wingers in the league, and obviously he dispatched it really well. It's just one of them things. I just think I've been saying it for like 2 or 3 seasons now, and I know Martinez had a good season. Did he get 16 clean sheets last season or the season before, Bill?
Season before, when Grealish was still there.
Yeah, see, Emi Martinez had a storm that season, but I still think Villa defensively are a really poor side. Defensively, I think you've seen this season, Bill. You might win games sort of 2-1, lose 4-2. That's Villa. Yeah. I just think because Ollie Watkins isn't like a flipping prime R9, they get beat often by heavier scorelines than the win by heavier scorelines. That's Villa. Emery hasn't really been backed, has he? Still, so it's the same with Lopetegui this summer. Emery and Lopetegui this summer, they need to both put their stamps on their sides and see where they go from there. We don't want to talk about Wolves Bournemouth, Dan, so let's keep this conversation moving.
No, we're coming to it, man. Don't worry, we're coming to it. Dave, let's come to you quick, man. Because I can't lie, man. My phone nearly did like flips by about 5 or 6. I couldn't believe that you guys had got a point off of Man City. I saw the highlights and I was told that Man City battered you. I couldn't tell by the highlights, but they certainly looked like the team that deserved to win. Wasted chances. Haaland, somebody else missed a chance as well. I can't even remember who it was. Now, was it Foden?
All of them.
Yeah, all of them. Yeah, but But you guys did it, Chris Wood. Honestly, mate, you must have been buzzing, man.
I still am, mate. I haven't come down. I think, apart from some draws we had in European Cups back in the day, it's the best draw we've had in our club for a long time, mate. There are three facts that came out of it. The first one is that we rode our luck, and Kayla Navas's testicles have been given the freedom of the city of Nottingham, right? Because they've got Aymeric Laporte's signature on them. The second is City should have won, and the third is City didn't win. And I think what happened on Saturday, I would say it was a masterclass of coaching, and Pep got out-coached massively, because I think what Forest did, what Steve did, and what the coaching staff did, and maybe the players, they watched the Arsenal-Manchester City game, right? And Arsenal made two mistakes that Forest learned lessons from. So the first mistake that Arsenal made was they did not isolate Bernardo Silva as a left back, right? And Arsenal made the big mistake of having more possession than Manchester City. And by having more possession than Manchester City, Arsenal forced Manchester City to be patient and stay nice and calm. What happened with us, I don't know whether Steve said it explicitly or just Steve realised that they weren't going to have much of the ball. So it was almost like Steve saying, tell you what, you're the best possession-based team on the planet. Have the ball. You have it. Right? And what was incredible was that everybody connected with Nottingham Forest got the plan. And I'll tell you for why. So I saw something. It was surreal. Honestly, lads, it was surreal. At half-time, we're a goal down. We haven't been out of our own half. We haven't had a shot at goal, and we've had 15% possession. And when Nottingham Forest walked off at half-time, they got a standing ovation. Now, I'm telling you, if Palace do that, or Wolves do that, or West Ham do that, or Aston Villa do that, or Arsenal do that, they get booed off, right? Everybody in the City ground gave Forest a standing ovation, and it continued after half-time. But the thing was, the more possession City had, the more City worried themselves into thinking, why are we not 3 or 4 or 5 or 6-0 up? And the longer it went on, the more City's actually quite childish minds started to kind of burn into them. And what Forest did, they reminded me of George Foreman and Ali in the Rumble of the Jungle, where Ali never threw a punch for 8 rounds and then knocked George out, right? And what Forest did, they waited. And Steve had said to him, you'll get one moment. And when that one moment comes, you must take it. And what Forest did in the 84th minute of that match on Saturday, Nottingham Forest were the best team on the planet. And I'll tell you for why. Because for that 1 minute that mattered, they had 100% possession, 19 passes with every single man in this team having a touch of the ball. And as the ball went across, and it never left the grass, and as the ball went across the grass, not one person in this country was mentioning 30 strangers, 30 new signings, right? And what they did, they just kept it. City couldn't get near him. Haaland and Kevin De Bruyne gave up chasing. And then what happened? They worked it into a position where Morgan Gibbs-White and Brennan Johnson reduced Bernardo Silva to an irrelevance. And then Brennan ran into the box and he made either Rodri or Ruben Diaz stand stock still because he knew if he touched him, it'd be a penalty. And this great Manchester City player just fell over backwards. And then the ball goes across. And what Forest wanted to do was to make the spare part of the club. Now, Chris Wood's been a spare part. He was bought to get on the end of things like that, and he got on the end of it. And from that moment on, the champions of England were like kids. And I'll tell you why. I'll tell you where the masterclass was completed by Steve Cooper, when Pep Guardiola was running up and down the touchline like a kid, and he got a yellow card, right? So Steve Cooper, I think it was his greatest moment as our manager on Saturday, because to say to your team, you're going to play the best possession-based team on the planet, right, and say, let them have the ball, is the bravest thing that a coach could ever do. And I'll tell you something, lads, we came out that ground and everybody at Nottingham Forest has been on a high since then, right? And so, you know, this weekend, everybody below us in our little league, right, would have thought, well, Nottingham Forest are playing Manchester City, so we can make up ground because Forest aren't going to beat City. We actually went up a place. And I'm telling you now, if the next plan is to score early at the London Stadium on Saturday, right, score early, and then watch West Ham United take on their own fans in their own ground while we stand back and let it happen, right? So I tell you something, I love my club and I'm really proud of my club, but I don't think I've ever been prouder of everybody than I was on Saturday. For the whole fan base to get what was happening. Not normally, 1-0 down, no possession, no shots. It's chaos and it's anarchy. And the whole City ground gave them a standing ovation and it was wonderful. Yet we didn't win. So Steve comes out after and said, look, we didn't win. So everybody's feet at Nottingham Forest are on the ground. And it proved with that goal. That goal that we scored, it's the only time this season I've seen another team do to Manchester City what Manchester City usually do to everybody else. And I'm telling you, lads, I can't get over it. It's so good. I've watched it so many times. It's like take the best orgasm you've had and multiply it by 1 million. Do you know what I mean? And I'm so proud of our lads, and I'm so proud of our fans. And I don't come on here normally sort of singing from the rooftops because I'm interested in other clubs as well. I'm interested in the Villa. I'm interested in Palace. I'm interested in Wolves, Fulham, Arsenal, whatever. I love football. But this is one time where I'm going to say, wow, weren't my lads, my coaching staff, my support's fantastic. It's just amazing, mate, honestly.
Oh, I love it, Dave. Love the passion.
I feel like clapping after that.
Do you know what? I did get a bit of a bollocking from my old man today because I obviously have to go and look after him because they're not very old. My old man goes, "Oh, stop going on about that bloody goal, will you?" You know what I mean? But the thing is, we threw the title race back into where it had been before. And I'm thinking about Potsy's in Colombo or Gaul or Candy or wherever, tanning himself. And I'm thinking, there you are, Potsy, there's one for you. You know what I mean?
I loved it.
And I'm honestly. And I've had Manchester United fans coming up to me saying, thank you for allowing us back into the title race. Because I'm telling you, we probably all thought after that game at the Emirates last Wednesday night, that's it, it's done. But you know what? Manchester City, they got shown up. When the goal goes in, everybody's saying Chris Wood's a cart horse. He got on the end of it. And then what I find fascinating about the end of that goal is how all the Manchester City players in that box are looking at each other and they look like lost little children. And I'm thinking, where's your coach now? Right. And I tell you what, it was Steve Cooper might never be as good again, but whatever he does at Nottingham Forest, I will always come back to that was a coaching masterclass on Saturday by our guy. And then what happened afterwards, when they tried to say to him, it was brilliant that he did. Steve Cooper's having none of it. Steve Cooper was already thinking about West Ham United this week, and that's a tough one. They're a European giant, West Ham United. So we've got our work cut out there. But I'm saying it's a different plan this week. If we can get an early goal, it'd be really fascinating to see if West Ham United stick with their team at 1-0 down like we stuck with ours on Saturday, right? So, lads, forgive me for going on, lads, but I'm absolutely buzzing about it.
Fair play to you, man. I hope you beat West Ham because it's just funny watching them struggle at the bottom, man. I can't lie. Before I come to dear little Dan, I just wanna get a serious question from you all. Does anyone not see Manchester City winning this title?
They're still my favourite.
Yeah. Purely, Arsenal are going to win the title because I hate Aaron Ramsdale and seeing him lift the trophy on the last game of the season keeps me awake at night.
Well, Dan, I'll tell you what, right? Are you going to the Emirates that last day or not?
Yeah, well, I've had this conversation with my Arsenal mate earlier. If Wolves are already relegated and Arsenal are going for the title, there's no fucking way. I said earlier, I'm considering getting a banning order on Aaron Ramsey if you win the title and we get relegated on the last day of the season.
Mate, I tell you, man.
He was a West Brom fan as a kid, wasn't he? I hate the guy.
Yeah, man. I know you. I can. I sense you don't like him, bro. I sense you don't like him. Who else said D? What did you say? Pat City your favourites, yeah?
Yeah, City are still favourites for me. Yeah, I'm not even saying it to troll. I'm being serious. I see our favourites based on
That's fair.
I found like the result that Arsenal got against Villa. That's title winning result because you didn't play that great throughout the game. Second half you did improve, of course, but you still managed to find a way to win. And sometimes that's all that matters. So that was a big shock to me. But I said it before the City game that the next 3 games, this was before the City game. So City, Villa, and then Leicester. That's going to be interesting because you was going through a rough patch. You didn't pass the test against City. You went back to, in my opinion, especially towards the end of the game, the old Arsenal. You passed the test against Villa by that last-minute goal, even though the performance wasn't that great. I want to see what you guys do against Leicester because Leicester started the game really well against Man United and then they slowly faded away. So I want to see how you do because I haven't been convinced, but then again, you are also missing a few players as well. When Jesus comes back, when Partey comes back, you'll probably be a bit better. Well, you'll be better because you are missing them players clearly. But you're defensively, the goals that you've been letting in, it hasn't been the same Arsenal that I've seen throughout the season. So I've seen a bit of a blip in performance. And City lately, even though against Forest they managed to only get a point, that performance against you guys, especially in the second half, it seemed like they're slowly getting back into it. So it's going to be tight, but I feel like City still edge it for me. I do think that because
I think that's
fair,
fair, man. No, I think that's fair. The rumours are Partey and Jesus could both be back for the next game, and I hope that's true.
Missing them, Dan.
Oh,
Dan, I'm not being awful, mate, but I think Eddie Nketiah has tried his heart, and Nketiah, has played his guts out, and he's a grand lad. But he isn't Gabriel Jesus. Do you know what I mean? And Thomas
Partey,
Partey
a couple of times.
Yeah, but then Jesus doesn't score
Dave.
goals as well, though. That's the thing about Jesus. He's not a goal scorer as well. I mean, he does. When he first joined Arsenal, that's what I was thinking. I was like, this guy has played at City, and they didn't have a striker, and they still didn't start him. And when he did start, he had the likes of Kevin De Bruyne and all these other creative players around him. And despite that, he still didn't score goals. So there's no way that he's going to go to Arsenal and bang in like 15 to 20 goals a season. I don't know how much he's got this season, but Jesus, what he delivers is off the ball and on the ball. He's probably better than Nketiah there. Exactly. But in terms of scoring goals, he doesn't quite match. And then even the likes of like Martinelli, I know he came off the bench in this game, but he's slowly he's drifted away. It's just Saka. As long as Saka stays fit, then Arsenal 100% there. But if Saka gets injured, then he gets a bit more worrying.
And Odegaard
as well. Yeah, and Odegaard as well. But yeah, I don't know. There's a few question marks about Arsenal.
To answer your question, Dan, sorry to cut across your D. My view is that the key. I actually at the moment the way that based on what I saw at the weekend, City should have obliterated Forest. They had that many chances. I mean, Erling Haaland had a really, really poor game, probably his poorest game in this country. And he went. There was one bit during this at the point where Guardiola got his yellow card. Right, they put Erling Haaland through. Joe Worrell made a mistake, and then Joe Worrell basically stroked the back of his neck, and Haaland went down like a sack of spuds. Right now, if I'm Haaland's manager, I'm on his case. I'm saying, hey, if you go in the box and you've beaten the last man, you have a bang at the goal. Don't fall over. It was embarrassing, right? And Joe Worrell was on a yellow card as well. So, Joe kind of got away with more, but Joe just walked away and said, oh, don't be such a, it was ridiculous. And so there was something about City that just doesn't feel right. But the thing that City have got, which sadly Arsenal haven't yet got, is that experience having got over the line. And I just think there's lots to like about Arsenal for me, but City know how to get the job done, and that I do think will be the difference maker, the discriminant come the end of the season. I mean, I don't know where City go next week. I have a feeling it's Bournemouth away now.
Yeah, it is.
And so this weekend, I'm a massive City fan because I don't want Bournemouth to do anything.
Absolutely.
I'm not massively keen on Bournemouth, but I want City to go there. Now, if you're, the thing with City is, for me, they beat the league leaders last week, and I thought they were good value for it, right? They played us in the week. Now, I'm interested to see what they do in Leipzig tomorrow night. Now, if they go to Leipzig and obliterate Leipzig, I'm thinking, whoa, maybe Forest aren't that bad. But the key one for me, I want City will go to Bournemouth, and Pep will say, that which happened at Nottingham Forest does not happen again. Although, having said that, how can he top it? Because he said it was a perfect performance. Fred did. So
there we go.
And
maybe he wants another draw then.
Yeah, well, maybe he does. So I don't think, in terms of the way Arsenal, and I think what he does say at the moment, there is not actually, for all the bump that goes around, there's always this big six issue, and there we are. Actually, there we get on to match of the day. The other night, it was what City didn't do rather than what Forest did. It's outright snobbery. If Wolves did it to Liverpool 2 or 3 weeks ago, and it was, Liverpool didn't do this, Liverpool didn't do that. No way. Get Star Soccer with Hugh Johns back on. Let's have Midlands TV again. You know what I mean? And they don't give our smaller clubs the credit. Sometimes.
Yeah, that's fair, Dave. I agree with that.
So I'm on that tangent. And I'm talking they do it. Villa, Palace, Wolves, Forest, right? It's all when we pick up a win against the big guns, or we stop them having their own way and stop their monopoly. It's all about Tottenham didn't do this, or City didn't do that, or United or Liverpool. What I'm getting round to saying, actually, again, sorry, is I don't think there's one outstanding team this season. And on the quiet, sort of under the radar, Manchester United are in the title race,
100%.
And Eric Ten Hag, I think, is a fantastic coach.
Unreal.
And, you could almost have Arsenal and Manchester City looking at each other and United coming round the outside.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
Could happen. I mean, I'd like to think we can beat Everton at home. I'd like to think. I know we couldn't beat them away, but I'd like to think we could. And then we're 8 points clear of Man United. Yeah. Then we're 8 points clear of Man United. And I think we'll be all right. But they are a good side, man. And Rashford is absolutely killing it. So
they are, but
as long as he's on fire.
They are.
Yeah.
You have to include them in the title race, in theory. But realistically, it's hard. They've got Europa League, they've got the League Cup, they've got the Premier League, and they've got the FA Cup as well. I don't think they've got enough depth to compete in all 4 competitions yet. And just like Arsenal this season, I don't think they'll be too upset if they don't win the title, because the expectations wasn't to win the title at Man United. It's more to do with finishing the top 4 and
solidify top 4.
So exactly. So I feel like with Man United, you can't say that they're not in the title race. I feel like they are based on form. But then again, if I'm being realistic, right now I don't see them winning it. I just can't remember.
Fair play, man. Fair play. Right, let's combine Wolves and Palace. This will be fun. Wolves and Palace. Don't know what's happening with Wolves and Palace. Right, I actually like Lopetegui. I think he'll be fine. Wolves ain't going down, in my opinion. I think Lopetegui will keep them safe. I think he'll be fine. I don't know what the hell is going on with Palace, man. Like, they literally can't win for toffee. I love Patrick Vieira, but you boys are like, literally, seriously, your form is flirting with relegation, D. I can't lie. But let's start with Wolves. Lil Dan, what went wrong, man? What's going on? Lopetegui, I don't know what happened, bruv. Talk to me.
Just one of them games. We could still be playing there. We wouldn't have got the win. It was just a really awful game. Like Dave mentioned in regards to Man City. Man City had all the possession, but missed quite a few sitters. We didn't even create one sitter. That their keeper was barely worked all game. It was such a dog shit performance. I think the players and the fan base, I mentioned it last week that we'd beat Bournemouth, Arsenal would beat Villa, we'd be 2 points behind Villa. That was the narrative going into the week. It was done and dusted, but just felt like the players and the fans just felt all we had to do was turn up and we'd beat Bournemouth, and they just had a game plan. They took their one chance that they created, and then they just time wasted to oblivion. It was a horrible game to watch for the neutral, but those games sort of happen. We've got a big game away on Friday to Fulham, which is tough. It's going to be massively tough. But I'm hoping, because the game should be a bit more spacious and Fulham aren't going to sit 10 people behind the ball, that we might be able to create chances against Fulham. But that they're in such a good form that I'll take a draw now if it was offered.
Thing is, Dan, right? I've got to say this. I don't look at Wolves and think, wow, this is a team that's going to get hammered 5 or 6. But I also don't look at Wolves and think, wow, this is a team that can knock 3 or 4 passes. I've just looked at
2 or 3, Dan. 2 or 3 is the surprise. Beating Liverpool 3-0 was mind blowing. If someone would have said to me, you're going to beat Bournemouth 2-0, I'd be like, blimey, we must have played well today if we scored 2.
It's like you scored 17. I just looked. You scored 17 this season, man. You're crying out for goals, bruv. And you've got
because you look at that. It's probably I think we scored maybe like 10 under Lopetegui since he came in. It's our season under Bruno Lage was so awful that Lopetegui's come in and got us playing really well. We need a couple of players just to get a bit of form. That's the big problem at the moment. So it's still a long way to go. I don't think we're safe yet, but I'd like to think that we've got enough in us to stay up. And there's at least 3 teams. I know like Dave's pretty confident that we'll stay up, but like you're mentioning, we start scoring enough goals. That's the worry.
Yeah, I can see that and I understand that. But the big question is, are you going to finish above Palace? That's the big question, little Dan. Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
probably. I'm going to leave it down because I want to call a truce with Dave because I mean I saw him clapping over a draw just and that's Palace all over in it, so I'm just going to leave now.
Fair enough, bro. Fair enough. I'm telling you, you're not fit. Anyways, good luck in it. Finish above Palace. I honestly couldn't care any less about where we finish above Wolves or below Wolves, but if that makes you happy.
That's the problem, man. Just remember, Bury, the Etonians, and like Swindon Town have won more than Crystal Palace. It's just they're a joke club.
And with all that history, we might be playing in the Championship, so I'll be worrying about your team before you talk about Palace.
I know, but your team still probably wouldn't even win the Championship when you're there because you don't win trophies.
Yeah, I know. You're right. We don't win trophies. We're not as good as Wolves are. Very historic, amazing club. That's fine. Relegation. That couldn't be another side. That's any relegation battle.
You're 3 points in front of us.
Hold up, Dan.
3 points in front of us.
Welcome back, Potsy.
I think you might be the first club that I've known in a very long time that your strikers haven't scored a goal for one whole year. All 3 strikers.
It's mad, yeah. We're only 3 points behind you. It's mad.
Imagine we haven't won a game. Imagine we haven't won a game in 2023 and you're still not ahead of us. Imagine we haven't won a game in 2 months and you're still not ahead of us. So how bad does that make you lot? We haven't won a game.
I've got to bounce because the missus is chasing me. I've got to go. I don't know if Dave, I'm not the Joy Division shirt tonight. And I'll harass you in the group. Have a good evening.
Best band ever, Dan. All the best, mate. See you, Dan.
I love
legend.
He's brilliant. He is a legend.
And actually, Dan, while you've been away, D and Dan have just been like star-crossed lovers, mate. Let's put it like that. You know what I mean?
Is little Dan the new Maz? Is little Dan the new Maz? D, like, what's happening? Is he the new Maz?
Let's not do this. Because I genuinely don't care about Wolves. I can't. Like, I genuinely don't care about Wolves. Like, why would I care about Wolves? I've got bigger problems to care about Wolves. I've got likes of Arsenal potentially winning the league, or West Ham getting, or West Ham. You got West Ham that's struggling, and all of that. Like, there's other clubs around us. There's Brighton that's doing well. Why would it's like Palace caring about all of a sudden Leicester? Like, it's just a bit random. Like, why would we care about Leicester or Wolves? We've got other problems, so I'm not that fast. Honestly, they could finish above us. They could finish above us. I wouldn't care. Like, I genuinely wouldn't care.
You have got problems, man. I want to know what they are, bro.
We haven't got problems, so I'll bring out the stats. I'll bring out the stats because this is the theory that everyone's talking about. As I've said, we haven't won a game in 2023. If we talk about the last game against Brentford,
it's all right. You've got Villa in a couple of weeks, mate. You'll get your first win of the year then.
But look, all jokes aside, when you look at Palace and when you look at the wins, yes, that is a problem. But I feel like the bigger context of things gets overlooked. Palace so far, we've missed Wilfried Zaha. He's been out injured for a few games. We managed to pick up points. We're talking about Man United being in a title race, right? We picked up a point against Man United. We picked up a point against Newcastle in our most recent games. I think we've only lost 1 in the last 5 games. Yes, we haven't been winning, but look at the teams that we've faced in our last 5. And in terms of performances, yes, it hasn't been that great. But in the Brentford game, when we actually did start Lokonga, funny enough, Lokonga is making our performance better. We did look better because why? We've got a midfielder playing in midfield. It's that simple. And despite that, we was on a verge of beating Brentford. That is 10 games unbeaten. That's having a fantastic season. And it was just a last-minute switch off. It was in the 95th minute. And we should have probably won that game. So with Palace, I understand it. And that's why I'm still saying that I don't think we'll get relegated because it's not just about how many wins we've got. Of course, wins matter, but it's the whole context of things. If we're playing absolutely awful against some very bad sides and just dropping points, then fair enough. But when you look at the teams that we faced with the players that we've been missing, one of our key players, Joachim Andersen, Wilfried Zaha, and the points that we picked up, I don't think it's as bad. I think we're mediocre side this season. I think we'll stick around 12th to 15th, maybe go up to 11th. It depends on what stage of the season we're facing. But if you want to talk about difficult games so far this season, you look at the likes of Arsenal. Arsenal's fixture list in terms of played opponents so far this season, based on points per game, they've had the easiest fixtures so far, 1.33. Man City's had a harder fixture list. Actually, no, Newcastle's had easier than Arsenal. But when we look at Palace, we've had the hardest fixture so far in terms of the opponents that we faced. So, and despite that, we still got Man City coming up. We still got, other teams coming up. Yeah. I wouldn't even say that's difficult, but we've got Arsenal coming up as well.
D, can I back you up, mate? I mean, you said last week, mate, and it was a really interesting point you made on the show, that actually the last sort of 8, maybe 9 games for Palace are, you would imagine more winnable, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the other point I would make, I had a really good point in a Forest podcast this week, where the person who I consider to be a knowledgeable guy said it isn't so much about like how many points you are above the bottom 3, it's how many teams there are between you and the bottom 3. And so, if we can take sustenance from us being like 13th and having, I don't know, 7 below us, Palace are 12th, then you can be in the same frame of mind that we are, D. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Look, as I said, the fixture list it's been one of the most. It's not been one of the most. We have by stats had the most difficult fixture list in the whole of Premier League so far till date. So as I've said, when you look at from April onwards after the international break, we've got more winnable games. Now I'm not saying we're going to win these games, but when you have a healthy Wilfried Zaha, when you have the new players that's playing as well, when you have Chris Richards back from injury and Joachim Andersen playing, and from what I saw against Brentford, I don't think it's panic mode. It's just mediocre. I can admit it has been mediocre this season, but saying that, there will be teams that improve. We saw it for the first time in about 7 years or 6 years. The teams in the bottom 3, all 3 of them won. There's going to be high levels of competition, but saying that, I still feel like we can pick up results. Look, when you look at our last few games, is picking up a point away from Brentford bad? I mean, Arsenal done that a few weeks ago. They're first in the league. We drew with Brighton. I know we laugh about it with Maz, but they've been solid this season. We drew with Newcastle, drew with Man United. We've had some decent results with all these players missing out. So for me, I'm not worried, but when you look at the numbers, when you look at where we are and how far from the relegation zone and lack of wins, yes, I understand your point of view, but context is important.
We only banter, man. You're going nowhere near relegation, in my opinion. Like honestly, I think you'll be fine. Vieira, I hope.
Personally, I don't think so as well. Personally, look, I've said this before. We might drop down to 15th. We might drop down to 16th. But realistically, coming into the season, I'm not worried about relegation so far. Maybe I'm wrong, but from what I've seen so far this season from this Palace side, and as I've mentioned all the different points, I think we'll be fine. But we have to spend in the summer. And if we do, I feel like we'll reach the heights that we reached last season in terms of like good cup runs and actually performing well consistently.
Fair play, man. Listen, to wrap up the stream, I've got one question. I'm going to get involved as well. I want you to name me the 3 teams you think will get relegated. I'll start actually. I said at the start of the season Everton would go down, but I honestly believe Sean Dyche will keep them up. I think that appointment has kept them up. So I'm going to go for Southampton to get relegated. I'm going to go for Bournemouth to get relegated. And I hate to say this because I love Joe, but I really feel like Leeds could go down. I really do. I don't know. I don't know. Gracia will do. I mean, listen, he done all right at Watford, to be fair to him. But is that the sort of manager you want to come and keep you up in a league?
It's a new manager bounce, though, isn't it? I don't know how long that could last, but then they could pick up results here and there.
Who would you go with hard now? Who would you go with as a 3?
I think Bournemouth. I have to say Bournemouth. Yes, I think they're getting relegated. Southampton. It's hard. I need to see more of the new manager. But look, when you look at the teams that show, I think Everton will most likely stay up. But we didn't mention West Ham. I don't want West Ham to get relegated, by the way. I joke around with Lawless, but I actually want them to stay up because it's an easier away day. It's not that far away. So that's why I want West Ham to stay up. I'm not even joking, man. That's the reason I want West Ham to stay up. So that's
like me not wanting Leicester to go down.
Yeah. Well, it's an easier
or Villa, or Wolves.
Exactly. But look, West Ham is a worry. But yeah, look, I'll say Bournemouth, Leeds. Just the last team, I'm not too sure. I'll just say Bournemouth, Leeds, and Southampton. just for the sake of
same
it
as
right
me.
now.
That's
But
what I
that could easily
think as
change.
well.
That could easily change. I need
Billy?
to see more.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Bournemouth and Southampton. Unfortunately, I think those two are pretty much already down. It's just going to be such a hard task for both of them when you consider how well the other teams are kind of doing. And then for me, it is between West Ham and Leeds. At this moment in time, I'm probably going to say Leeds just because they're a bit, we don't know what to expect under Gracia. That being said, he could reignite something in them and start maybe pushing them up the table. You don't know. And all of a sudden, then you've got the likes of Everton, albeit I think Sean Dyche will carry them to safety. And then the other one, really, in my eyes anyway, is West Ham. And I think they can drop into it. And, you know, they know themselves that no one's that no one's too good or too big to go down. So for me, it's between Leeds and West Ham for that third spot.
Fair play. Dave, agree or disagree?
Well, I do agree about. I agree about Bournemouth. I'm not. I like Gary O'Neill, but I don't think he's got enough force of personality to keep them up. Southampton, I would say Southampton, but then they won at Stamford Bridge. But then again, I actually think at the moment the worst team in the division are Chelsea. They're in utter shambles. Let's say about Chelsea, let's take 30 signings, that thing that was heaped on us, and give it to Chelsea. Because when Southampton went to Chelsea at the weekend, it looked like Chelsea had signed 30 guys who didn't care about each other. They were pathetic, Chelsea.
I love it. I love to see it, man. I love to see it.
Yeah, and they were just dreadful. So actually, on current form, Chelsea are going down. They're the worst team in the division, right? But I do I said Bournemouth. I do think Southampton, bless them. They were. I mean, James Ward-Prowse is fantastic. Let's get that out of the way. But I don't think they've got enough of a supporting cast for James to stay up. So I like Southampton, but I think they'll go. And then to me, I think West Ham have enough quality in the squad to stay up. I think Declan is crucial to them. I think Jared Bowen's a good lad, and I think they'll stay up.
I want to say,
and then I think it's between Everton and Leeds. And at the moment, the Dyche factor against the Gracia factor makes me think, and I'm with you, Dan. I think Joe Wayman is fantastic. I love the lad. His content's amazing. His passion. He is Mr. Leeds United for me, right? But I just think that they're the ones to go. Now, the only thing I would say in Leeds' defence is if they can weaponise Ellen Road like Forest are weaponising the City Ground at the moment, Leeds could have some cauldron-like games there. I just think with Leeds, where's a goal going to come from? In fact, all of them at the bottom. So those 5 I've talked about. And actually, while we're on the subject, I don't think we're out of it yet. We're not out of it until it's mathematically proven. So nobody at the City Ground, and certainly not Steve Cooper, nobody's getting carried away that Forest are safe. We still think we have lots of work to do. And Steve's saying that. But I think it'll be 3 from 5. The 5 at the bottom, I look at them and think, where are your goals going to come from? Now, West Ham at the weekend, they're probably going to score 4 or 5 now against us at the weekend. And Mikel Antonio will have a run riot, and Jared will run riot. But I just look at them and think they don't score enough goals. And Leeds are the ones. I mean, they came to us 3 weeks ago and they bossed us, but they never looked like scoring. And so I think I don't want it to be Leeds because, as I say, I think Joe's amazing. But I think, and I don't want it to be West Ham because I think Lawless is amazing.
Yeah, it's going to be.
We haven't got an Everton on here, so maybe that. But I do think it'd be Leeds, Southampton, and Bournemouth. I think, Dan, to be honest.
Yeah, I think we're all in agreement there, to be fair. Boys, absolute pleasure. Great to be back. Great to have banter with you all, and fair play to you all for coming on. Make sure you go follow Dave. Make sure you follow D and all of his Palace content. Make sure you follow Billy at Total Screamers. Please make sure that you come follow myself if you want to at Dan Arsenal87. Like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. On the way to 8K people. So please make sure you come and support the community and help us all, and follow the guys on socials. Until then, we'll see you next time. Up the Arsenal, and I'll see you tomorrow for the Race for Europe show. Make sure you're there.
You Reds.